Don't scroll. Stop right here. I know your thumb wants to move, your mind wants to rush, and everything around you is telling you to keep going and stay distracted. But something much deeper inside you knows this moment matters. Let your heart slow down, let your breathing soften. Stay with me, because what you are about to hear is not noise, not random words on a screen, not a small interruption. It is a lifeline. It is a whisper from a God who refuses to let you drift so far away that you forget what His voice sounds like. You didn't find this message by accident. You were guided to it, because your heart needed a reminder today, and heaven decided it could not wait until later. You have been running for a long time now, running from pressure, running through responsibilities, running past your own feelings, running without stopping long enough to take inventory of what's happening inside you. You wake up already tired. You carry weight before you even stand up out of bed. You push through your day with a strength that others admire but don't understand. They see your calm surface, but they don't hear the waves beneath it. They see your endurance, but they don't see what it costs your soul. You have been holding so much for so long that the heaviness feels normal. But it is not normal. It is not holy. It is not what God meant when He said He came to give rest to the weary. Somewhere along the way, you learn to survive instead of live, to manage instead of breathe, to cope instead of heal. You learned how to keep moving, even when your spirit was begging you to slow down. You are not alone in that. Many hearts in this world are quietly exhausted. The enemy doesn't always try to destroy you in loud, dramatic ways. Sometimes he wins by keeping you too busy to notice your soul fading. Sometimes distraction is a more effective weapon than destruction. You have felt it, haven't you? That quiet slipping inside your heart, the feeling that something is off, even though you can't explain what. The heaviness that shows up without a reason. The moments where your joy feels thin like paper. The days where peace feels fragile and temporary. That is not you being dramatic. That is your soul signaling that it needs attention. And God sees it, even when you don't. When you ignore your spiritual signals long enough, He steps in. He interrupts. He speaks louder. And sometimes, like now, He shows up in a moment when you did not ask for Him. This is not a lecture. This is love reaching for you. God is not disappointed in you. He is not frustrated with how distracted you've been. He is not keeping score of how many days you skipped prayer, or how many times you chose entertainment over stillness. He understands the pace of your life, the weight on your mind, the responsibilities on your shoulders, and the invisible battles you don't even have words for. He sees how much you are carrying silently. He sees how often you tell yourself you're fine because you don't have space to unravel, even a little. And that is why He interrupts you, not to scold you, not to add another burden to your list, not to guilt you into listening, but to protect you, to wake you before numbness becomes normal. to remind you that your soul needs rest just as much as your body does. You are not a machine. You were never created to run endlessly without stopping to be filled again. And the world you are living in demands more from you than your heart was designed to sustain alone. Maybe lately, you've felt like you've been walking through fog. You're present, but not really present. You're functioning, but not fully alive. You're doing what needs to be done, but joy feels further away. You go through your days on autopilot, and deep down, you know you are not living with the clarity or strength God intended for you. That fog is not random. It comes when distraction slowly replaces connection. It comes when you are so busy tending to everything outside you that you stop tending to the inside. You may wonder, why now? Why this moment? Why would God choose this ordinary second out of all the hours in your week? Because this is the moment when your heart slowed down just enough to be reached. Even scrolling requires attention, and in that small space between motions, God slipped His hand into your story. He didn't need a prayer meeting or a church service or a worship song to reach you. He used your scrolling thumb. And now, as you read, He begins to uncover things you didn't realize were happening. You have been targeted, not in a dramatic way, but in the subtle ways that wear you out without you noticing. The enemy does not always roar. Sometimes he whispers. Sometimes he gently nudges you away from awareness, away from peace, away from rest. He loves to fill your schedule so full that you forget to listen. If he can't defeat you, he will distract you. If he cannot break you, he will busy you. If he fails to steal your faith, he will try to drain your attention until your faith grows quiet in the background of your life. But something is shifting. You're reading words you didn't write. You are holding a message you didn't expect. God is pulling you back into awareness. Awareness is power. Awareness helps you notice what you've been carrying. Awareness reminds you that you don't have to stay exhausted. God is calling you away from numbness and back into feeling. He is calling you away from survival mode and back to the fullness of life.
You might think you don't have time for this. You might feel guilty for taking even a few seconds to slow down.
But these seconds are saving you from years of unconscious drifting. Listen to the truth that you've avoided. You cannot carry everything alone. You were never asked to. You were never built to. You don't become stronger by pretending you don't need God. You just become more tired. You don't gain peace by ignoring what drains you. Instead, it multiplies. Pretending to be okay does not heal anything. Honesty does. Awareness does. Surrender does. Now breathe deeply again. Let the truth settle. You are tired, not weak. You are burdened, not broken. You are overwhelmed, not abandoned. God is closer to you right now than He has felt in a long time. Not because He moved, but because you finally slowed down enough to notice Him reaching. Stay here. Don't rush away from this moment. Let your spirit stretch inside your chest again. Let your heart take up space again. You have been shrinking yourself emotionally so you could keep functioning logically. But God doesn't want a numb believer. He wants a living one, awake, breathing, aware, and connected. He will not stop pursuing you until your heart remembers who made it. By staying in this moment, you are already breaking the pattern the enemy hoped would continue. You are interrupting distraction with awareness. You are interrupting noise with stillness. You are interrupting exhaustion with rest for your soul. You are doing something holy without even realizing it. You are listening. This is only the beginning. More is coming. Clarity is rising. And if you're still here, whisper, "Lord, I'm listening," and type Amen so you remember this moment mattered. Don't scroll. Stay right here. You made it through the first part for a reason, and heaven is not finished speaking to you yet. You may feel the urge to move on, to check another notification, to answer someone, or to get back to whatever was calling for your attention before. But pause. Hold this moment gently in your hands, because God is still drawing your heart closer. There is something He wants you to understand deep beneath the words, deeper than emotion, deeper than passing encouragement. Something is shifting inside you, and this moment is helping awaken what has been asleep for too long. You have spent so much time giving yourself to everything and everyone around you that sometimes you forget what it feels like to receive. People ask you for help, for advice, for your time, for your attention, and you offer it without hesitation. You show up where you're needed. You try to hold things together, not only for yourself, but for others too. You support people even when you feel unsupported. You stand strong even when your knees tremble. You say, "I'm okay," because life leaves you little room to say anything else. But God knows the truth behind your strength, the cost behind your obedience, the pressure behind your perseverance. He sees that beneath the capable, dependable person the world knows, there is a heart quietly craving relief. Not escape, not quitting, just relief. You don't want to run away from responsibility. You just want a place where you are allowed to rest. You want a moment where you don't have to be the brave one, the calm one, the planner, the problem solver, the one who holds everything steady. You want a space where you are not needed, but seen. And that desire is not selfish. It is human. It is holy. God built your soul with a need for His presence, not constant pressure. Somewhere lately, your heart has forgotten what unhurried connection feels like. Your spirit has been slowly losing strength, not because you are doing something wrong, but because you haven't stopped long enough to be refilled. You've tried to power through seasons that required surrender. You've tried to stay disciplined when what you needed was rest. You've tried to push forward when God wanted you to pause and breathe Him back in. That tension inside you, the one you can't fully name, is not confusion. It's the ache of a soul that has been working harder than resting. Life has pulled you away from stillness, and stillness is where God restores you. You've drifted into a rhythm where your heart barely has time to process what life is doing to you. And when the soul gets too far from rest, it begins to send out signals you've been feeling more than you realize. The heaviness in your chest, the sighs that escape without warning, the feeling that you are present but not fully alive, the desire to withdraw because your spirit needs to recover. Those are not flaws. Those are warning lights that you've kept driving past. The enemy is clever in this season, not by attacking violently, but by slowly convincing you that your constant busyness is normal, even necessary. As long as you are moving quickly, thinking about 100 things, surviving from task to task, it becomes harder to notice when your spirit is quietly being drained. He doesn't always need you to sin. Sometimes he only needs to keep you distracted enough that you forget who you belong to. A distracted believer is easier to exhaust. A tired heart is easier to discourage. A numb spirit is easier to mislead. But today, distraction is losing its grip. The fog is thinning. Your awareness is rising again. You are remembering that your soul matters. Your peace matters. Your inner life matters. You are realizing that you were not created to constantly carry weight from sunrise to sunset. You were created to walk with God, not simply serve Him from a distance. You were created to abide, not endure. You were created to depend on Him, not drag yourself through every season alone. It is not weakness to say, "I need rest." It is not failure to say, "I can't hold all of this." It is not spiritual immaturity to say, "God, I'm tired." Those words are not a confession of defeat. They are the doorway to healing. God does not respond to your pretend strength. He responds to your honest need. And right now, your soul is crying out, whether you realized it or not. You are not just physically tired. You are spiritually weary. It is the kind of exhaustion that sleep cannot fix, that vacations cannot solve, that entertainment cannot soothe. It is the exhaustion that comes when your soul has not been still in the presence of God for too long. Stay with this moment. Let the truth unravel the lies you've unknowingly agreed to. You don't have to constantly earn your worth. You don't have to be productive to deserve peace. You don't have to always be okay. You are allowed to be human in front of a God who already knows everything going on inside you. Your tears are not a problem to Him. Your weariness is not a shame to Him. Your silence, even when you don't know how to pray, still reaches Him. His love for you has never depended on your effort, only on His heart. There are places inside your soul that you have avoided because you didn't know how to handle what might spill out if you opened them. Hurt that piled up over time. disappointments you never processed, fears you hid because there was no time to confront them, moments where faith felt thin, but you said nothing because people expected strength from you. God is not afraid of those places. He does not need your emotions to be organized for Him to understand them. He steps into the chaos of your heart, gently, patiently, and lovingly. Where others expect you to be composed, God invites you to fall apart safely. Pause now. Place your hand on your heart if you can. Feel its beat. It has been carrying you through everything: pain, joy, frustration, hope, confusion, responsibilities, without complaining. Your spirit has been holding all of it, and it has been whispering for space to breathe. You have ignored that whisper long enough, but not today. Today you stopped moving long enough to notice that whisper become a voice, and that voice is saying, "Come back to me." God is calling you not into effort, but into awareness, not into striving, but into stillness, not into religious duty, but into relationship. He doesn't need you to perform for Him. He wants you to sit with Him, to let Him comfort the parts of you that have been quietly breaking, to let Him carry the burdens you pretended were light, to let Him refill the peace that has been leaking away slowly, day after day, to remind you that your value is not tied to how much you do, but to who He is and who you belong to. You are not weak because you are worn out. You are not losing because you feel less connected. You are not failing because your prayers have been shorter or fewer. You are tired because you have been fighting without resting, serving without being filled, showing up without a place to recharge. Even Jesus rested. Even Jesus withdrew to be alone with the Father. If the Son of God needed quiet moments, why do you feel guilty for needing them too? Let this moment be your retreat, your pause, your spiritual breath. The enemy hates these moments because they refill what he worked to drain. He prefers when you stay busy, because busy hearts rarely notice they are drifting. But drifting ends the moment you turn back. And right now, you are turning back. You may feel like you're just reading words, but your spirit knows something real is happening. When heaven speaks, your soul listens, even if your mind struggles to keep up. Maybe you've been telling yourself you'll pray deeply tomorrow, or spend time with God next week, or slow down once things get easier. But tomorrow has been delaying itself for months. Next week keeps turning into next month, and life hasn't gotten easier. It has gotten louder. That is why God is speaking today. Not because later is bad, but because now is necessary. If you wait until life gets calmer, you may never come back to the stillness your heart needs. You don't have to fix everything today. You don't have to solve all your problems or make any big decisions. God is not asking for your action in this moment. He is asking for your attention. He wants you to remember what it feels like to stop, even briefly, and let Him speak to you. You cannot carry peace into your schedule if you never pause long enough to receive it. You cannot overflow with faith if your spirit is empty. You cannot pour living water into others from a dry well. You are not alone in your heaviness. God is with you, not watching from a distance, but present in this breath. He is nearer than your thoughts. He is closer than your feelings. He is not impressed by your strength. He is moved by your surrender. And surrender begins with awareness. Awareness that you are tired, and God is ready to lift you. Awareness that you cannot do life alone, and were never meant to. Awareness that heaven is not disappointed in you, but deeply concerned for you. This moment is your reminder that you matter. Your fatigue matters. Your soul matters. Your inner world matters just as much as the world you are trying to keep functioning outside. God is not calling you to abandon your responsibilities. He is calling you to stop abandoning yourself. If you're still here, let your heart whisper this simple prayer. God, I need you to carry what I can't. And if you agree, type Jesus. I'm listening. Don't scroll. Stay here one more time. You have traveled all the way through this message, through weight you couldn't name, through truths your heart recognized even when your mind was unsure, and you did not stop. And because you stayed, heaven is ready to speak something even deeper into you. This part matters because it is the turning point. The moment where awareness becomes strength and clarity becomes direction. You survived distraction long enough to listen. And now God wants to place something inside you that will carry you forward, not just comfort you in the moment. For so long, you've been trying to stand up in a world that keeps trying to push you down. You have faced seasons where your spirit had to carry more than your body. Seasons where you walked through rooms smiling while your heart whispered for rescue. Seasons where you said, I'm fine, because no one around you had room for your truth. You pushed through pain because you believed you had no other choice. You convinced yourself that strength meant silence. You believed that holding everything together alone was noble, necessary, maybe even expected by God, but it was never His plan for you. Your strength is real, but you forgot the source of it. Strength without rest becomes strain. Courage without presence becomes numbness. Endurance without renewal becomes emptiness. And God is not calling you to a life where you barely make it through your days. He is calling you to a life where you live awake, alive, aware, and anchored in Him, not drifting, not drowning in pressure, not pretending everything is okay while your spirit withers quietly. There are people who believe you are unstoppable, people who have no idea how many times you nearly collapsed inside, people who don't see the battle behind your composure. But God sees every silent fight. He sees the moments you held your breath instead of breaking down. He sees the nights you fell asleep exhausted instead of peaceful. He sees the mornings you got up when you wanted to disappear. And He honors those moments, not because He wants you to keep living that way, but because He knows how much unseen courage it took. But now, it's time for something different. Not more weight, not more responsibility, not more pressure. Something lighter, something holier. God is calling you out of survival mode and back into intimacy with Him. You have spent so long fighting the enemy's tactics that you forgot your greatest weapon is not resistance alone. It is connection. The enemy's fiercest fear is not your ability to run faster, produce more, or push harder. It is your ability to stop, to be still, to listen, to reconnect with the one who fills you. Because once you remember you are not carrying life alone, distraction loses its power. Once you become aware of what has been draining you, exhaustion stops feeling normal. Once you recognize that God is still near, even when you feel far, the fog cannot stay in your spirit forever. Awareness breaks chains that noise keeps in place. Stillness exposes lies you've been living with quietly. Truth begins to rearrange your inner world the moment you stop long enough to hear it. Maybe somewhere in your heart, you have believed the lie that God steps back when you struggle spiritually. That if you drift, He waits far away. That if you get distracted, He becomes disappointed. But God's love does not shrink when your attention wanders. His presence does not retreat when your heart gets tired. When your hands are full, He draws closer, not farther. And when you feel lost, He becomes louder. You did not come to this moment alone. God carried you here. Every breath, every step, every quiet ache in your soul was felt by Him. You might think returning to God requires effort, discipline, a perfect prayer, or a dramatic spiritual gesture. But the truth is simpler. You return to God the moment you turn your heart in His direction. Awareness is return. Stillness is surrender. The whisper, "God, I need you," is enough to bring heaven running. Your weakness is not a wall to Him. It is a doorway. As you read this, something inside you is loosening. A tension you've held for too long is beginning to drop. Your soul is remembering that peace is not something you earn. It's something you receive. You are realizing that being tired does not disqualify you from God. Sometimes it qualifies you to be held by Him in a deeper way than ever before. You don't have to climb your way back into God's presence. You simply have to stop long enough to realize He never left. This is not just about today. This is about something bigger rising inside you. Something the enemy hoped would stay dormant. A quiet resilience has been growing even while you felt weak. A gentle hunger for God has been brushing against you even while you thought you were distracted beyond return. Your spirit is waking up again. And once the heart wakes up, everything changes. Soon, you will start seeing patterns that drained you, and you will step away from them without guilt. You will recognize conversations that exhaust your soul and excuse yourself without apology. You will notice habits the enemy used to dull your awareness, and you will begin breaking them quietly but powerfully. You will feel nudges from God more clearly. His voice will feel closer. Peace will feel more accessible. Joy will come more naturally, not because circumstances got easier, but because your heart is no longer being dragged through life half asleep. And maybe for the first time in a long time, you will understand something crucial. God does not want to be a small part of your life, squeezed between responsibilities. He wants to walk with you in the middle of it all, not after your tasks are done, not only when you have time, not only when you feel spiritual. He wants to meet you in ordinary moments, your commute, your shower, your routine, your quiet thoughts, because that is where relationship lives. You do not need to earn His nearness. It is already yours. You don't need perfect devotion, just honest turning. You don't need hours of prayer, just openness, just breath, just awareness that He is still here whispering, "You are mine." God has not forgotten you. He has not downgraded His plans for you. He has not withdrawn His calling. The enemy did not disqualify you by distracting you. You are still chosen. You are still purposed. You are still deeply loved. What happens next is no longer about exhaustion. It's about awakening. It's about walking with God intentionally instead of collapsing into Him occasionally. It's about making space for Him, not through force, but through desire. You will not go back to running on empty the way you were before. Something inside you shifted the moment you paused long enough to be reached. Before you leave this message, stay for one more breath. Feel what is already happening in your heart. Peace is returning. Clarity is rising. God's presence is surrounding you like warmth, like light, like a hand gently resting on your shoulder. You are not alone. You are not forgotten. You are not behind. You are exactly where God knew you would be when He decided to speak this into your spirit. You don't need to know the next step yet. You just need to stay aware, stay open, stay connected. The rest will unfold one moment at a time, not by your power, but by His grace. And if you ever forget this moment, if you ever drift again, God will find another way to bring you back, because He always comes for the ones He loves. And you are deeply, fiercely, eternally loved. If these words reached you, whisper from your heart, "Lord, stay close." And if you're ready to walk awakened, not distracted, type Amen, share this message, and stay